Welcome to 48 Seconds of Art from Hjulstalsbygdens Museum. They have a special exhibition here from the local art corps, or whatever you can translate it into English. So here you see something that's just as amazing as St. George Church. So you see sort of church thing there. And here they are celebrating the feast of the innocent children. And that's almost the 48 seconds that you need for art of today. And people are looking strangely at me now. They have just talked about. Hello, the English speakers, and welcome to the police. It's open 2 days per week for a few hours. So I'm going to leave in some police reports to them for Twitter International ULC that has committed a crime of fraud to me. But we'll try to at least point out all your blind spots, but it will be crazy, so maybe I can't enlighten them because it's Moon Day. So let's start by taking a big, deep, snowy breath. And then we will try to avoid all the traffic that is very noisy despite the snow, or partly because it's. So yesterday, Twitter International ULC, that's the ex-company on Ireland, they stole 4,230 crowns from me. So on X.com, I can't go in there and message support for X that I'm paying premium money for, and I can't even stop that subscription because it's a big, huge bug, and they are still charging me for things that I can't use. So that's an obvious fraud, and it's all against all their marketing that Elon Musk is doing. And I also reported them to the Swedish consumer, the ombudsman for consumers, and that will not help me personally, but I hope that they will get spanked somehow, and I hope that we'll see what the police can do and what lawyers can do maybe. And yeah, that's a shitty behavior. I accidentally had enough money so that I could draw it on my bank account. So here is a blind spot that I have, maybe many people have. When you go and you want to apply for a job at the very big corporation, they ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So here's a wrong answer. It's not up to me, is it? Don't answer that. And don't answer, I will take over your job. So don't answer that either. Someone suggested I will try to move into management. I'm not sure if that's good. And another person suggested that you should not say, I will spend my free time writing a killer app so that I can quit this disgusting job and get rich. Don't answer that either if you want the job. Christer Peterson, a young Swedish journalist that has been a little bit controversial, of course not by criticizing Jews, because he's smarter than me, it seems, but he got attention from Elon Musk, so that's good for him. And he was talking about the traitor Olof Palme, our prime minister that got murdered. But way before that, in the 1970s, Olof Palme started the multicultural project. So not only should we pay a lot of money to make people immigrate to Sweden, but we should also pay a lot of taxpayer money to educate them in their own culture by teaching them their foreign languages and culture, because they wanted multicultural. So you think that Olof Palme woke up and thought that, yeah, I'm a social democrat. We social democrats, we are the founders of the modern Sweden, and now we want to make Sweden multicultural because the Jew. Of course it's a Jew, and it's David Schwarz that came from Poland in 1950, and then in the 60s he started to argue for the glory of destroying the Swedish nation, and he was of course hired by the Jewish media Bonnier that helped him write let him write articles and books in their publication empire. But of course that's not something Christian Peterson was reporting. You might wonder that, like I did, I was thinking about Larry Falk, BlackRock CEO, and then you have this lucky Larry Silverstein that made a fortune of airplanes going into his World Trade Center, and then you have Larry Ellison that got money from CIA to build his Oracle richness. Why? What is Larry? Is it a short for Lucifer or something? Pretty close, actually. It's a short for Lawrence, which means someone who has been crowned with laurel. That is this kind of crown that makes you immortal. So you have been crowned with immortality. So that's how the parents to Larry see their son, or daughter, I guess, if they name their daughter to Larry. Should be possible, maybe not. So that's megalomaniac. It's one thing to name your child something like Thor or another god, Balder, I don't know. But crown of immortality. Yeah, you can name your son that if you are into that sort of things, apparently. Elon is agreeing with that all politicians and judges, they must not be dual citizens. He did not specify exactly other things, like if you run the biggest data centers for CIA, should you be allowed to be a dual citizen, like IDF's biggest sponsor, Larry Ellison, that also is the biggest stockholder or controller of XAI, except Elon Musk himself. That can't be good, but I think maybe he should be banned from those posts of ownership, maybe. But good that Elon Musk is going up to the exactly what he can't say, at least. Time, there is a publication called Time. They are lying. So if you read something from them, then you know. So they were writing I couldn't call it an article, more like, a short story about MTG running for president in 2028, according to sources. And it's a total lie, says MTG herself. They made that up. So now you know, Time is not trustworthy. Reuters are reporting that DOGE has shut down this Department of Governmental Efficiency. Totally shut down, and they are quoting Scott Cooper, who is the he's the head or secretary of the Office of Personnel Management, OPM. This is basically the human resources of the US Federation. He didn't exactly say that. He said that, a lot of these functions have been decentralized, and DOGE is still working, and they are posting on X every day about how they are finding new wasteful spending that they are cutting. So Reuters And this article was obviously filled with bullshit and tries to make it be something that it wasn't. Mike Lee, the senator from Utah, Republican, says that USA should end all foreign aid, yada yada, blah 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 blah. And then we need to remind ourselves that he has gotten $372,000 from AIPAC, and more importantly, the AIPAC support in general. So we can't trust him. He also said that maybe it's time to leave NATO because the European puppet leaders are insane, or they are acting insane because they are puppet leaders. He should ask, or he should be asked, so what does Netanyahu think about USA leaving NATO? Because that's the only thing that matters. What Mike Lee thinks is interesting at most, but not the important thing, as he's bought. Infowars made a video about that Epstein. It was not only Mossad that was involved, but also Rothschild and the British royals. I smell a red herring. Maybe I have time to watch that, but it has this smell of, that is not useful information, but maybe there are some interesting bits there. But Rothschild, they have totally infiltrated and basically became the same thing as the British Empire after the Napoleon Wars, when they took over all the debt that UK had and married into the royal family, and then the kings and queens made the Rothschild lords, despite that they are foreigners. So that's that side of the story. Emerald Robinson, I think she's trustworthy. I haven't seen anything else, but she had a source that is actually trustworthy. She says in the national security apparatus, and the threat against Candace Owens is very real. So they seem to have some information there. And Candace Owens is saying that she got the information that there is a French female spy or hit woman that is working together with an Israeli man, a murderer, to kill Candace Owens. Pavel Durov, you know, the CEO and founder and owner of Telegram, the encrypted app. He had been in fighting with the French government and arrested by them. So he had heard Charlie Kirk saying that Charlie Kirk defended Durov and saying that Trump should put tariffs on France until they treat Pavel Durov decently. But still, at least according to Sam Parker, and it seems reasonable to think, France don't have that power and infiltration of USA. So it's more likely that France, in this story, when it comes to murdering Charlie Kirk and murdering Candace Owens, it's more likely that France is the patsy that Israel wants to blame. That's modus operandi, basically. Hamas has said that the ceasefire is bullshit. 100 people have been murdered by Israel, and I think that there is no use to do anything else than exterminate or destroy somehow a state. If a state starts to murder diplomats like Israel has done, they murdered Iranian diplomats, they murdered in Qatar some Hamas diplomats or the son of a diplomat, and so on. You can't have friends, you can't have enemies, you can't have occupying states. I'm talking about USA that is Zionist occupied. You can't have that kind of state. You have to defeat it sooner or later. Usually it's unfortunately later. But the Mongols could teach you that if you murder diplomats, you will have a bad time eventually. But Israel has not learned that lesson yet. But it's not just Netanyahu. 60% of the Israelis thinks that so-called terrorists, that is everyone they don't like, they should be murdered even if they are no threat to Israel. Because they are satanic monsters, 60% of them. So that's 6 million anti-Semites. I've talked about that only Zionists can be anti-Semitic, but it turns out that they are. So don't take just my word for it. Sarah Hurwitz, she is spreading anti-Semitic garbage. She says that all Jews should be more loyal to Israel than their host nation. So if you say something like that, according to the rules, IHRA rules, if you say that if you say that Jews are more loyal to Israel than to the state that they also have a citizenship in, then you're anti-Semitic. So Sarah Hurwitz is anti-Semitic, just as they say themselves. Matt Walsh, he works for Ben Shapiro, and he is getting hammered by others. He was thinking that he will expose X, Israel Exposed X is the account called, and it's operating out of Saudi Arabia. Haha, I spot you. So Israel Exposed X have gone out and said, yeah, I live here in Saudi Arabia because the pay is very good. He is an American and he is cooperating with people from very many different nations. So that backfired on Matt Welch, and every time he says something, for example, we should end all foreign aid, people are asking him, even including Israel, and he has to say that every time because he still works for Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is a lying Mossad asset and a traitor. If you can, arguably, he's obviously not working on USA's side. So Matt Welch have a problem. If you work for Satan, people don't trust you. It's that simple, even if he says all the right things all the time. And well, as soon as he just tried to expose Israel critics and failed badly, because they were only exposed, they were self-exposed before that. Yeah. Speaking of Satan, NHS, they will do a trial. They call it a trial. I call it sacrifice, human sacrifice to Satan. They will take children down to 10 years old and they will feed them with puberty blockers that will murder them, basically. That's evil. This is not science. This is the Hollywood version of Mengele and all these pieces of garbage that believe the same kind of subhuman demons that have been lying about Mengele, and they want to mangle children and mutilate children in this way. Yeah, it's the same people. Trust Mengele, don't trust people who wants to castrate children in this way. I mentioned Amathia some days here. It means that you are really smart, well-informed, and a total moron. Because you can argue for the most moronic kind of thing. You have read too much Wikipedia. So you can go to Wikipedia and you can look up Amathia. And you get 5 different suggestions that has nothing to do with what I'm just explaining to you. So Wikipedia don't explain what happens if you use Wikipedia and their way of Amathia thinking. So that's interesting. Here in Sweden, a publication is pushing an article about Hamas is building up their terrorist network in Sweden. That's so ridiculous that I don't need to comment more on that, I guess. And Sweden, our leading party in the government, it's a so-called right-wing party, but I guess they have been infiltrated by far leftists. They are bragging about that 20 NATO generals, they are coming every year into Sweden to learn about gender and genus and those sort of wokeness. Even people from Japan, they come to Sweden and they learn about wokeness. So they are very proud of that. Yeah, they got, of course, totally ridiculed on Facebook in that case. And Swedish media in the form of Sveb TV, that is alternative media, you can say. They also reported about the Jews that have been fleeing Ukraine because they were criminals. And finally, here in Ljusdal, we had an election when it comes to building this huge ice hall and a cheaper hall for other sports. And 72% of the inhabitants here, they did not want that. And of course, people who are living far away, this is a big municipality, and people who are living 10, 30 kilometers away from here, or even 60 kilometers away from here, they do not want an expensive ice hall here very far away from them. No surprise there. It was about 89% voted against having a big investment somewhere else in this huge municipality with few people in it. Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron, Friedrich Merz. Yeah, I can't make that story more crazy. So the end, fin, or ende. So that's interesting. You say the end in English, which is weird. You don't do that in French. You don't say la fin, and in German you don't say das Ende. They did do that in German though, in very old movies, but now they just say Ende, like end. And in Swedish, you know what we say at the end of the Ingmar Bergman movies. Slut. Slut it's pronounced. But with that, if you speak English, you do have a huge problem with pronunciation if you want to speak O. So it's not who, it's who. No, not WHO. Not who, it's who. So I have a lesson that you can try to practice with a owl, trying to teach an English speaker how to say who. And with that, link from my Substack, subscribe to that, and see you again on a less crazy Tuesday.